You don't want to be rich. Not really. Somewhere deep inside you, there's a part that flinches at the idea. A part that quietly sabotages every opportunity, every plan, every moment you get close. And until you face that part, no strategy, no course, no vision board will ever be enough. This isn't about mindset tips. It's about something older and darker than that. Something you've never been asked to look at directly. By the end of this, you won't just understand why you've been holding yourself back. You'll know exactly what to do about it. Think about the last time something good happened financially. A raise, a client, a win. Did you feel pure joy, or was there a flicker of something else? Anxiety, maybe. A strange urge to downplay it. A quiet voice saying, "Don't get used to this." That voice has a name. Carl Jung called it the shadow. It's the part of you that holds everything you were taught to hide, suppress, or feel ashamed of. And for most people, wealth sits right in the middle of it. Here's why. You didn't grow up in a vacuum. You grew up in a world that told you things about money. Maybe it was subtle. The way your parents stressed over bills, the exhausted look on their faces at the end of the month. Maybe it was direct. Money is the root of all evil. Rich people are greedy. We're not those kinds of people. You absorbed those messages before you had the language to question them. And then you grew up, and you decided, consciously, that you want financial freedom. You made a plan, you took action, but the shadow doesn't care about your conscious decisions. It runs on something older. On loyalty, on identity, on fear. Because here's what the shadow is actually protecting you from: becoming someone your family wouldn't recognize. Outgrowing the people you love. Being seen as greedy, as arrogant, as someone who thinks they're better than everyone else. That's the real terror. Not failure, success. Most people spend their entire lives optimizing the wrong problem. They think, if I just learn more, work harder, get the right system. But the system isn't broken. They are. Not because there's something wrong with them, because there's something unexamined in them. There's a concept in psychology called the upper limit problem. Hendricks wrote about it. The idea is simple. Every person has an internal thermostat set to a certain level of success, happiness, and abundance. When life pushes you above that threshold, the unconscious mind triggers self-sabotage to bring you back down to where it feels safe. You pick a fight with your partner right after the big win. You overspend immediately after saving. You procrastinate on the opportunity that would actually change everything. Sound familiar? The upper limit isn't stupidity. It's not laziness. It's loyalty to an identity that was built before you knew you had a choice. Think about the version of you that formed those beliefs. Maybe you were 8 years old, watching your father work himself to exhaustion. Maybe you were 12, feeling the shame of not being able to afford what the other kids had. Maybe you were 17, hearing, "Who do you think you are?" the one time you dared to dream out loud. That child made a decision to stay small, not because they were weak, because staying small was safe, because fitting in meant being loved, because ambition felt dangerous. That child is still in you, still steering, still pulling the wheel away from wealth, because wealth to that child means danger. And here's what most success content never tells you. You can't outrun that child. You can't logic them into silence. You can't hustle past them. The only way through is the way that feels most counterintuitive. You have to turn and face them. Shadow work is the practice of doing exactly that. It's not therapy, not necessarily. It's not meditation though. That can help. It's the deliberate act of asking, what do I actually believe about money? Not what I say I believe, not what I post about. What do I feel in my body when I imagine having 10 times more than I have now? Close your eyes for a second. Seriously. Imagine your bank account with a number that used to feel impossible. Feel what comes up, not the excitement. That's easy. Feel what's underneath the excitement, the guilt, the fear, the feeling of being exposed. That feeling is the map, because whatever comes up when you imagine real wealth, that's exactly what's been running the show. The guilt says you believe you don't deserve it. The fear says you believe it will cost you something important. The feeling of exposure says you believe that wealth will make people see something in you that you're afraid is true. A man named James grew up with a single mother who worked 2 jobs. He watched her sacrifice everything. When he started making real money in his 30s, he couldn't hold on to it. He'd earn it and immediately give it away, overspend, or find ways to lose it. He told himself he was generous. He told himself money just didn't matter to him. But in therapy, he uncovered something different. He felt that keeping money meant he was abandoning his mother's story. That thriving felt like a betrayal of her suffering. His unconscious mind had decided, if she struggled, it's not safe for me to succeed. That's the shadow. Invisible, illogical, and completely in charge until you name it. Naming it doesn't fix everything, but it breaks the spell. The moment you can see the belief clearly, Really see it, not just intellectually acknowledge it, but feel where it lives in your chest, it loses some of its grip on you. The next step is harder. You have to grieve. You have to grieve the version of yourself that needed those beliefs to survive. That kid who made those decisions was smart, was doing the best they could with what they had. You don't get to just discard them. You have to thank them for protecting you and then explain that you're the adult now, that it's safe to want more, that wanting more doesn't make you disloyal, that success is not betrayal. This isn't a one-time conversation, it's a practice. Some days, the shadow is loud. Some days, it disguises itself as humility, as practicality, as just being realistic. And you have to learn to recognize its voice, not to silence it, but to hear it, respond to it, and choose differently anyway. Because the world doesn't need more people who stay small out of loyalty to pain. It needs people who've done the work, people who've looked at their deepest resistance and chosen growth anyway. People who understand that wealth, real wealth, is not about ego or status. It's about freedom. It's about options. It's about being able to show up fully for the people and causes you love. You can't pour from a depleted well, you know this, but the shadow will still try to convince you that wanting to fill the well is selfish. Don't believe it. Every time you step back from an opportunity, every time you undersell yourself, every time you self-sabotage right before the breakthrough, ask yourself one question. Is this me choosing? Or is this an 8-year-old trying to stay safe? Because you are not 8 anymore. You have survived everything that was supposed to break you. You have earned the right to want more, to have more, to be more. The part of you that hates being rich is not your enemy. It's a scared child who never got the chance to grow up. Give them that chance. Listen to them. Love them, and then take the wheel, starting right now. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now. Because the version of you that finally breaks through doesn't wait for permission, they just begin.